What's going on, everyone? Talon here, and today we're going to be doing another build slash review, and in today's episode we're going to be looking at Medusa. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at her details. Alright, so there's probably two ways that you can build Medusa. You can either build her towards damage or survivability. So if you want to go the damage route, I would recommend defense penetration as the stat that you focus on, and if you want to go for survivability, I would recommend working on dodge. So with that being said, the way I decided to build her was towards damage, so I did do defense penetration. So it's all up to your preference and play style. If you do dodge build, it's probably for more of an aggressive player. And if you do the damage build, it's more of a conservative player. So let's go ahead and take a look at her gear. Alright, so she's a physical based attacker, so we're going to have physical damage or all attack here. And then we're going to have all defense, and then I did HP here because I did the damage build. If you are going to go towards dodge, then of course you want to have dodge here instead of HP. And then down here, I went for skill cooldown because I need the extra skill cooldown because none of her gear has native skill cooldown in it, so her skill cooldown is pretty low by itself. So that's going to be her gear here. And then her obelisk, I have defense penetration, and that is also because I am going towards damage. And if you wanted to do dodge, of course you want to have a dodge-based obelisk here. And you can always go for a hybrid. If you do happen to get dodge with defense penetration, that would be ideal. If I had rolled that, of course, I would have put one of those on her. So that is going to be the obelisk. So now let's go ahead and look at the ISO 8 set. Alright, so I rolled Power of the Angry Hulk for her, which I think is a very good ISO 8 set for her because it does have defense penetration, which stacks with my obelisk, so I get an extra bonus there, and also an attack-based ISO set works best for her because she does have a lot of good skills for keeping her out of harm's way. So we're going to look at that in a second when we check out her skills. Other obelisks, or ISO 8 sets that you could use, of course, would be Hawkeye, because then you get that extra skill cooldown, which she does need. Because as you can see, even with my card bonuses, I still only have 31% skill cooldown. Ideally, you want to have that at about 35 to 40% if you're in a max level alliance, because then the skill cooldown that you get from your alliance bonus will get you to that 50%. Alright, so now we are going to look at her skills. Alright, so her first skill is just a standard attack, nothing special about it. Then her second skill is actually pretty nice because it does have a bind on it. So using this skill will help to bind the opponent for 3 seconds so that you're going to be out of harm's way. And then that also works well with her third skill because this is the one that gives her her damage immunity. So when you use this, she's going to be immune to damage for 5 seconds. The problem with this skill is it has an 18-second skill cooldown. So it's going to be quite a while before you can use this again. So you're going to have to wait with max skill cooldown 9 seconds. So you're going to have 4 seconds that you're going to be available to get hit before you can be immune again to the damage. So that 4 seconds is actually quite longer than you would think, so that's why it's nice that she has a bind skill here, and then also on her fourth skill she has a stun. So then if you use the stun and bind, that can help reduce that 4-second period where you're able to take damage by binding or stunning the opponent, so that your 3-star or your level 3 skill will be available again. And then her 5-star skill is also a really nice skill because it is an iframe. When you use this skill, you will not be able to get hit or targeted by the enemy, so that's another skill that you can use to stall until your damage immunity is back up. So overall, she has really good skills for survivability, so that's why I decided to go towards a damage build instead of a survivability build with the dodge. With her skill cooldown where it is right now, I have noticed when playing with her that I just cannot rotate the skills fast enough, so I do get hit quite often. but when I have a skill cooldown leadership, I use to test out the skill rotation with max cooldown, it was a lot easier to survive and have that immunity up almost the whole fight. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look actually at her skills in the skill preview so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about with her skill rotation and just how the skills animate and work. Alright, so her first skill is just that plain skill with no extra status effects on the skill. It's just basically a hair drill. So she just jumps back and then charges the opponent. And then her second skill is the one that has that bind on it. As you can see right there, for 3 seconds the enemy will be bound and will not be able to attack you. And it does actually hit multiple enemies. Let's see if I can... Come on, target. Okay, there you go. It will hit multiple enemies, and if it does hit multiple enemies, it will kind of like vortex them together, so that's nice because then you can line them up for your next attack. And then her fourth skill is the one that has a stun on it. And as you can see, it's a little longer animation. So we have multiple hits there, and the stun is the important part of this skill. And then finally, her fifth skill, she basically jumps up in the air and just keeps hitting them with her hair. And during this whole process, she will be immune to damage because she is going to be untargetable by the enemy. So this is also another very nice skill. And then the main skill that you're going to be using the whole time, her 3 skill, which gives you that damage immunity. She basically goes into her hair bubble or something like that, and then she comes out and she is immune to damage for 5 seconds. So this is the skill that's mainly going to be keeping you alive. So generally what I do when I'm trying to use her in like Shadowland or something like that is I will use the 3, get the damage immunity, then I'll use the 1 because that's her most vulnerable skill, so while I'm getting hit while casting that skill, I will be immune to the damage, so I don't have to worry about it. So I can do that, and then you hit them with the bind, and then you can hit them with the stun, and then to finish off the cooldown for the 3, you just go into your iframe right here, and your 3-star skill should be up. If you have max skill cooldown, it will be up for sure. I'm not sure what your skill cooldown will have to be to hit this rotation. But that's pretty much the skill cooldown that I use for Shadowland, and she does work pretty well in Shadowland because of the stun and the bind, and the damage immunity makes her a very good world boss candidate. So that is going to be her skills. So now let's go ahead and bring her into co-op and just kind of see what kind of damage she can do. Alright, so let's do a quick match here for co-op. Just bring her in here and let her autoplay and see what kind of damage she can do. And also something to note is she does have a pretty good leadership as well, but it is very specific. It is for universal hero types only, and it is an all attack buff by 36%. So it is a nice boost to attack damage for universal heroes. The only downside is there is a lot of universal characters with damage-based leaderships, so it's not too useful right now, but it is still something to take note of if you need another damage leadership. Okay, so there we go. She did 33% of the damage, and it was 14 seconds. So her damage is actually pretty respectable. It's not too bad. Mainly that 5th skill that she has, the iframe skill, actually does do a lot of burst damage, so it is actually a nice high damage skill. Alright, so now that we've seen her damage, let's go ahead and do my final thoughts on her, and we'll do a wrap-up. Alright, so that was my build/review on Medusa. Overall, I think she is a really strong character. She has a nice skill kit, so that's a bonus for her. She has the damage immunity, she has a stun and a bind, so that makes her really good in Shadowland. So if you need another character to help you clear some of the stages in Shadowlands, she is definitely a good character to look at. She does have a damage leadership, so she will buff herself, which is also good for Shadowland because then you don't really have to waste another character to get the extra damage if she needs it. So, with that being said, she is technically a farmable character. You can't get her in story missions or as an ally shifter, but you can get her from any bioselector, which is how I got her. I did the bioselectors from my Shadowland clears to rank her up. So far, I am not disappointed. I do like the character overall, and she is pretty strong. So, like at the end of all of these videos, I will now suggest a character I would like to see added to the game, and sticking with the Inhuman theme that we've been having here, I am going to go with Karnak. I would like to see Karnak added to the game. He would be pretty cool in my opinion. And then that's going to be it for this video, so I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this helped you in building your Medusa or deciding if you wanted to rank up Medusa. And with that, I will see you in the next one.